issue.
Large populations.
Overcrowded.
It is when the human population surpasses the ecological carrying capacity of the environment.
In an overcrowded environment, people may outnumber available necessary commodities for survival, such as the following: transportation, water, shelter, food, or social amenities.
It's when environmental resources fail to meet as individual species need for housing, nutrition, and other necessities.
It leads to significant mortality and morbidity rates.
Overpopulation means less resources and more illness and disease symptoms. It is caused by a variety of circumstances.
Many countries have distinct causes of overpopulation, but they are mostly linked to poverty,
Poor contraceptive use, child labor,
ignorance,
reduced mortality rates.
Overpopulation puts further strains on freshwater resources. This is a big concern because just around 1% of the world's water is fresh and accessible. Water is already a precious resource, so let's not waste it.
Data has also been collected to show that there is a direct link between increases in human population and decreases in the number of species, not only in one country but the entire planet.
As the population grows, so do the resources needed to support many people. The food, the water, and the fossil fuels are being consumed at unprecedented rate, creating a huge demand on producers and the planet.
Farming systems have evolved to provide enough food to feed larger populations as the populations has risen over time. Intensive farming methods, on the other hand, harm local ecosystems and the soil, perhaps posing future problems. Furthermore, because of the machinery required, intensive farming is regarded as a major contribution to climate change. If the population grows at its current rate, the effect will likely become more pronounced. Large populations are directly involved in climate change, especially as the Philippines continue to improve their industrial capabilities. 97% of the scientific community agrees that human activity is changing global warming.
About 110 million people currently live in the Philippines. The yearly population growth rate is currently about 1.3%, down significantly from 1960 when it was 3.3%. In the Philippines, the fertility rate has similarly fallen precipitously over time. The fertility rate was 6.4 children per woman in 1969. Today, there are 2.1 children born to every woman. The increased use of family planning technologies and contraception is one factor contributing to this. Population growth of nearly 2 million people each year will cause it to double in roughly 40 years. According to the 2015 census, there were 100,981,437 people living in the Philippines in 2016. By 2020, there will be 110 million people living there, and by 2030, there will be 125 million. The Philippines population as of June 10, 2022 is 112,381,154. And the last UN estimate by July 1, 2022 is 112,508,994. As shown in this table, the yearly change from 1975 up to date is more than 1 million. The Philippines is an archipelago of more than 7,000 islands with an area of 115,831 square miles. Even though the majority of the islands are quite tiny, some larger ones, like Luzon and Mindanao, make up a significant amount of the total surface area. The three divisions of the islands, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, represent the north, central, and south, respectively. The Philippines' overall population density is 939 people per square mile, or 363 people per square kilometer, although certain islands are substantially more crowded than others. Quezon City, with a population of 2,936,116, is the biggest city in the Philippines. It belongs to the larger metropolitan Manila area, which consists of 17 cities and municipalities and has a total population of 12.8 million. The fact that the Greater Manila urban area extends outside of Metro Manila's boundaries and is estimated to be home to 22.7 million people, roughly a quarter of the Philippines' total population, makes matters even more problematic. Only Davao City, with a population of 1.6 million, is located outside the metropolitan Manila area, the others being Manila itself and Caloocan. Only 667,612 people were counted in the Philippines' first census, which was conducted in 1591. At that time, there were 8 million people living in Japan. The Philippines reached a population of 1 million in the middle of the 18th century and about 8 million by 1900. Throughout its recorded history, it grew steadily until it reached the remarkable population it has today. There are more than 100 million Filipinos living in the Philippines, while an additional 10.2 million are thought to reside abroad. Many people have relocated abroad temporarily in search of employment, while others have done so permanently. Given its close ties to America, it is not unexpected that the United States is where the majority of Filipinos living abroad, more than 3.5 million, call home. In addition, there are sizable Filipino populations in the Middle East, including 1 million in Saudi Arabia, 822,000 in the United Arab Emirates, and 204,000 in Qatar, as well as considerable populations in Malaysia, 793,000, Japan 182,000, and Australia 397,000.
Additional demographic solutions are needed to reduce the impact of population growth. The country's rapid growth will lead to huge population growth. Education, access to contraceptives, and policies will help control the country's population.
Better education will help people understand more about the potential consequences of having sex as they relate to childbirth. It will also do away with many of the myths that surround the sexual act and introduce scientifically proven methods of birth control.
Access to birth control must go hand in hand with better sex education. After all, without it, people cannot put what they have learned into practice.
Although there are many systems of curricula and teaching materials for school that cover a large population, this is still a topic undiscussed.
Overcrowded is just another way of saying overpopulated. Too many people is too many people, regardless of how we got here.
If our species is going to survive, we must move beyond the patriarchal paradigms that measures a man by the number of children he desires and the worth of a woman by the fruits of her fertility.
Not only should gays and lesbians come out of the closet and take control of their lives, heterosexuals who choose not to make babies should also come out of the closet and stop apologizing for not wanting to bring children into the world.
Wishing to live an alternative lifestyle that does not include children should not be seen as immoral or freeloading.
Overpopulation is a crisis that potentially stands alongside climate change as one of the biggest challenges facing not just Filipinos, but all of humanity today.
Despite this, there is so little in the way of education or dialogue relating to the issue, particularly in schools.
If this doesn't change, the issues may continue to grow unabated. If that happens, this one issue could have a knock-on effect that will lead to untold problems in the future. Of all the environmental challenges facing the country today, population growth is sometimes off the radar. Issues such as pollution, climate change, and water scarcity are priorities, but population growth is a major cause of many environmental problems.